Okay, guys, I'm trying this one more time. The problem is Crazy Days has not really been set up for live streaming, and I've had issues all along. Every time I've ever tried to do anything from Crazy Days, I've had issues. So today I found a couple of issues that were there. Hey, Mimsy. So tell me how this feed is working compared to the other one. I think it was simply a setting on Crazy Days that was off. So, hey, Jennifer in Living Gardens. Looks much better. Thank you. I changed the resolution. Uh, I tried 3 times to jump back on, and I found out that Crazy Days was marked private. So you guys can't come on when it's private. I have to make it public. I didn't notice it till like the third time trying to go live. So this has kind of freaked me out, and I got to rethink all my process right quick. Looks good and sounds good. Thank you guys. That's what I needed. Hello, Puerto Rican Prepper and Duncan. Hey, Brenda. Everybody's jumping in. Okay, so on the previous live stream that I started a few minutes ago, I'm going to kind of kill those later, hopefully. Um, I'm going to be doing Betty's Box of Blessing. I'm going to do one, if not two, giveaways during this time. And so I'm going to be just kind of, I'm going to have to fix my chat because it's not popped out where I can see it, and I'm fixing to fix that. Hold on, let me figure out the chat. Move it over because I like to have a big giant chat box where I don't have to strain to see what y'all are saying, and that's much better. Thank you, Bandana Grandma. And let me do this right quick because I see Brenda is in here. Brenda, I'm making you a moderator just in case. I'm glancing through to see. I know Gemini is in here. Let me make her a moderator because I never know when people will pop in when it's just me and I may need help. Mimsy. When I get to Mimsy, I'll add her in a few minutes. Hey, little red cabin in the woods. There's Mimsy. Okay, let me get Mimsy going here. Well, y'all bear with me just a minute because I want to be able to let y'all handle things and I don't have to. Okay, so that should give me enough people moderating today. All right, first off, I just wanted to get Crazy Days up and running somewhat. So this seems to be a better feed. You guys seem to think it is, and it probably was a resolution setting all along, but I've maybe got that fixed. Betty's Box of Blessings is a box that I get every month. They send to me and I do a review on. A lot of people click it out and they don't care that much about it. But it's very important to me because Danny and I do have a ministry. We do want you guys to glean something. We're not perfect. We're not all that. We don't have all the answers. Believe me, some days I wish I had answers. This week has been a tough week on me. And so we've been really struggling. We feel the oppression coming in. We've got two very important guys in our lives that we've never met either one of them. We met them through YouTube. Both of them have contacted us, and both of us send us very uplifting messages off and on. We don't hear from them maybe for weeks at a time, and then they pop up. And one of them lives in California, and one of them lives in Florida. And these two men have been very, very influential in our lives, even though we've never met them, in keeping us boosted up, praying for us on the phone, sending messages to us constantly saying, we feel that you need prayer today. So this is very important to us. And so we want to pass along a little of that in our lives and in our live streams. So one thing today, Betty's Box of Blessings, is about truth. Let me read you a little bit here. It says, in today's culture, truth relativism has become a very popular belief. Truth relativism, I will get past it, is the view that there are no absolute truths. And if you've lived anywhere at any point in time now, you know there are no absolute truths with 90% of the people. And most of a good example is where people would say there are many ways to get to heaven. Or they say, what is true for me might not be true for you. Okay, if you grew up in the era I did, And I know several of you did grow up in that era. You know that if mama said no, it meant no. It didn't mean maybe. It didn't mean if you hound her enough, if you threw a temper tantrum or whatever, you talk to mama long enough, she's going to say, okay, honey, go ahead and do it. That ain't happening. If mama said no, it meant no. Now, if you tell a kid no, they kick, scream, cry, throw fits, ignore you, tell you they don't love you, and all this stuff, and you go, well, okay, here, you take it. You calm down now, calm down. We need to calm. My mama didn't care if we was calm. She was going to blister your butt if you needed it, and she was going to tell you what it was. So there's no truth. There's no right and wrong. There's none of that anymore. I've got my coffee, and I've got my gospel story in colors. Miss B Lady has one, and she sent me one. She saw mine, she loved them, and she sent me another one. Love you, B Lady. So this is about truth. And what it's saying is, the irony of this is that Jesus addressed this same thing 2,000 years ago in John 8:31 and 32. So Jesus said to the Jews who had believed him, if you abide in my word, you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. So this box is talking about truth, and it sends a couple of books, a CD, cards, and a gift plaque I'm going to talk about in a little bit. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is this it's called the Four Gospels Journal. I'm crooked with it. Okay. You see how pretty this thing is? And it is it's one of these soft, nice, like they do the Bibles nowadays. It's really soft, nice cover. The Four Gospels. Now, I was thinking about this while I was reading. I was reading through this book. And I'm probably not going to watch the chat that much. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. Because if I watch the chat, I get sidetracked. So what I'm doing is the Four Gospels. A long, long time ago, somebody told me that if they were witnessing to somebody, that they didn't try to prove or disprove the Bible. They didn't try to go over different stories and try to make them believe that those stories happened or anything. They didn't talk to them about Jesus exactly. What they did, they would tell them, this was a preacher years ago. He said, go read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. All four of them, one of them, whatever, but read at least one of those and come back and talk to me. And he said, I prefer that you read all four of them. He said, that talks about the life of Jesus. He said, once you read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, come back and talk to me. And so I thought that was pretty amazing because you're not trying to prove or disprove anything. You're just simply giving them an option. And God gave us all an option. So instead of trying to beat the Bible over people's heads, he gave them the option to read something and come back and talk about it. And he said 90% of the time when he sent somebody away to read the four Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, they came back saying, I never knew 90% of that was in the Bible. I didn't know this. I had not ever heard most of that teaching in my life, or I'd heard none of it because they had never been to church. And he said most of them accepted the Lord as their Savior and worked past it, and they went forth. So I've always thought about that. And when this book came, that came to mind, the four Gospels. I would love to send this book to somebody. So if you're out there and you have never read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John in its entirety, and I know lots of people have Bibles and things, but some people don't. So if you're listening to this and you would like one of these, you can comment because I'm only giving it away during the live stream. And I will send this to you because if some of you would love to read it for the first time, you may not be a believer. That's what I'm hoping to send it to somebody who is not a believer, who thinks my ways are really weird. It's not my way. It is God's way. And so I would love to send this. But I wanted to talk to you about this one thing. I just flipped in here. I'm really bad about flipping in books and taking pieces and reading it and then later reading the whole thing. But this one is simply Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And in chapter 8 of Matthew, let's see, we're going to verse 13. Jesus is talking to the centurion, and he wants to be healed, but he didn't want Jesus to come into his house, and he didn't feel like he was worthy of Jesus, I guess is how to say it. And Jesus told him, and in this last part, he said, go thy way, and as thou hast believed, as you have believed, he said, so be it done unto you, unto thee or you. We're just changing those two words so you understand. So that kind of struck home. As you have believed, so it be done unto you. He didn't say, I'm healing you. He said, whatever you believe, that's going to be done to you. How many of us don't believe that things can happen? We've had this conversation before, Danny and I, Danny and Amanda, Amanda and I, we all have had this conversation. We limit God. We very much limit God. We think, I don't have the money to do what I want to do. I can't go do this because there's not enough money, or I can't do it because of this reason or that reason. It's not about that. It's about having faith. I can't do everything I'd love to do, and I never will. But I limit God in providing me that monetary whatever I need, or that physical whatever we need, or whatever it is. So that's where we have come to become really dependent on these two men I was talking about at the beginning. One of them specifically tells us all the time, don't limit God. Danny, God owns the world. He can give you whatever he wants you to have. You just have to have faith. You have to ask. And so that was what, that was one of those things that I didn't realize we were limiting God. I was thinking, I don't have money. How am I going to do this? What are we going to do? And so once we stepped out on faith and started doing things, God does bring things to you. And why do I think people lose faith? It is very easy when you pray for something. Danny almost lost his faith. I'll give you an example from his life right quick. When Danny was married to Debbie before she passed away with cancer, this was his wife before me. Danny told me, he said they did everything the right way. They both had faith that God would heal Debbie. They did the anointing. They prayed over her. They did everything that was spiritually right, biblically right. They did it. They lived on faith from day to day. When she got good reports, they knew God was answering their prayers. But when she passed away, Danny lost his faith. He was angry at God. He said, God, we did everything right. So why did you take my wife? Sometimes the answer is that God is not answering your prayer the way you want it to answer. And you get mad at God because he did something like this. He took his wife and he felt like God had not answered his prayers. Actually, he had prayed for his wife to be healed. If she was never going to be totally well, God gave her the ultimate healing. He had to come to that realization that for her life, that was the ultimate healing, that what he had prayed for. My daughter lost a husband. She was 20, 21, 22 years old, only been married 11 months. They had not even had their first anniversary. She had to come to the realization in the hospital that she had to let God handle it, because they fought for 2 weeks hoping that that boy's life would be saved. And she was fighting a spiritual battle every day, up and down, up and down. They would tell her one day he's doing better, one day he's not, back and forth. And finally, after nearly 2 weeks, she said, God, just heal him, whichever way it is, just heal him. She got a total peace with it, and God did heal him. But it was the ultimate healing. It wasn't a physical healing. And my daughter she has given testimony on that before, because that gave her the peace that she needed. So sometimes people lose their faith because they think their prayer is not being answered, when it is being answered in a different way. Danny looks back on it now as God needed Debbie out of the way for me to come in and for our ministry to go a different way. Debbie and Danny's ministry was with something that happened in her life. And he needed him at this point in time to talk to y'all. And he needed me and Danny's life to talk to y'all. I didn't know it. Danny didn't know it. We didn't know what was going on. But, that's kind of how I'm looking at it. God knows the future. We don't. And so he has to answer prayers in the way he answers them, not the way we want them. And a lot of people do lose faith. But if this guy that Jesus talked to, when he said, go your way, and as you believe, so be it done unto you. How many of us would not get anything positive happening in our lives? Is my whole thought with this today. Is because I believe I'm just going to sit here. I don't have any money. I can't go do this. I can't build this. I can't get a chicken. I can't raise goats. Danny and I thought that the first year or two we were married. We were sitting here going, I don't know how we're going to afford anything. But we stepped out on faith one day and took all the money we had and we bought 12 chickens. 12 chickens. He had had a farm before, but after Debbie passed, he had to get rid of it. And he had the house, he just didn't have animals. So we bought 12 chickens, and from there, we have bartered for animals. We have bought a few animals. We have traded for animals. I mean, we've done all kinds of things. When we needed something on the place, if a neighbor had it, we bartered with them. So there's ways about it. And it was just pretty amazing. So if we still had the mindset that we can't do something because if you just sit on your couch and go, I can't have an animal, I don't have any room. If you get out and physically find you something to make a string up and make a fence. A lot of people use whatever they find, repurpose stuff, and make fences for their animals. You can have an animal. You can put it out on Craigslist or Facebook or something and say, I need an animal. There's always something can be done. God gives you the option to sit still or to work. And that's part of it. So I got a little sidetracked. Sorry, guys. The other book is called Poets and Saints. Now, I've read a little bit in this book, and it's talking about all the saints according to, I'm not sure if it's from a Catholic version or not. I can't tell you that. But this guy goes through a lot of the people like St. Patrick, John Newton, C.S. Lewis, George MacDonald, St. Teresa, John Calvin, St. Francis, St. Peter, and Martin Luther are a few of them. In these right here, it talks about their lives. These people's lives weren't perfect, guys. They weren't, when you say a saint or whatever, it's not necessarily that they were saints. Their lives were not perfect. And it discusses those lives. And I think it's John Calvin and Martin Luther is some I have studied on before. And these guys really, that they had ordinary lives. They were ordinary people, just like you and I are ordinary people. We don't know what God's going to do with us through YouTube or through our personal life or whatever. Danny never knew he would be on YouTube. He hated the internet like with a passion before we met. And the first 2 years I had a computer and I was on the internet, but sporadically, because he was very dead set against it. So to know that he is on YouTube and actually talking to people now is a total mindset, total change from his life. Perfect people are filled with pride. I agree. Okay, so along with that, there is a Poets and Saints by All Sons and Daughters. This is a CD that goes along with that book. So that's another thing. This is one thing I wanted to give away, and this is to anybody here that would like it. It says, All the Lord's Promises Prove True, from Psalms 18:30. It's a little plaque. It's cute. It has a stand on back where it can stand up or you can hang it up, either way. And it comes with this little mini book called We All Need Hope. It's a mini book. So if you guys are in the chat, I'm going to pick, I don't even know how many are watching, so I don't have a clue, but I'm going to pick a number between, let me write it down. So, all right, I got this number wrote down. Between 1 and 100. If you like this little mini thing, and you guys, y'all be looking. When I put this up, y'all going to have to run the chat back and figure out who was first, because I won't know. So between 1 and 100, throw those numbers up, and you get the little plaque and a little mini book. It all comes together in one. And okay, I got one number, and it's wrong. Go, guys. So far, there's 37 in the chat. Okay, it's below 37, if that'll help. And wait, no, it's below 50. I'm sorry, I thought I wrote a number below 37. Okay, it's below 50. So I narrowed it down for y'all between 37 and 50 if y'all want to get technical. I haven't seen it yet, between 37 and 50. Okay, I think I saw it. It is 43, and I think it was Kathy Bishop, but go back and see if Kathy was the first one to see this. Okay, because I see several 43s afterward, but I'm not sure who was actually first. And so we'll announce the winner in a few minutes, and I'll write it down. But I think I saw Kathy's first, and you moderators can check that out. Betty's Box of Blessings always, always, always sends Dayspring cards. If you've, I never knew what Lifeway was, but Lifeway is a Christian bookstore. And if you've never been in one and you see a Lifeway, stop and go through. It is full of all kinds of amazing gifts. It's full of cards, Bibles, anything, books, self-help books, music, CDs. If you sing and you want a soundtrack from a gospel thing, you can get soundtracks. Lifeway is amazing. So Kathy was first. Thank you, guys. So let me write that down while I'm thinking. Kathy, if you will, send me your address by deepsouthhomestead@gmail.com. Yeah. So I think Kathy was first, but you got most everybody's saying it was. Okay. Honestly, it was scrolling too fast. Most everybody says they saw Kathy first, and I think I did. I did see Brenda Duncan, and a couple of others did the 43 afterward, but I don't know if anybody was before her. I didn't see it, but I was looking. Okay, so the Dayspring cards. I don't know how. Let me get them where I can see them. This one. Let's get this one. Whew. There we go. Sometimes it's hard to see through the tears, through our tears. Okay, they sent a supply of these. There's like 5 or 6 of those in this package. That's sometimes when somebody's down, depressed, whatever, I can send these cards out. This one is called Faith. And it too deals with somebody that needs a little bit of a push at this point, just to know that faith is there and they need that faith. And there was 4 or 5 of those to be sent out. Every month I get those cards, and I have a stash of them for all kinds of things. It's not necessarily Joy Prepping Mama says, please pray for me. She's very sick. So you guys, we do need to pray for each other and for Joy because she is very sick. So Dayspring has these cards. You can get them at Lifeway. Any of these things come from Lifeway bookstore. And so you can order online, I believe. And I sent Gemini, I sent her a card, one of these cards this week. And she's going through a hard time. She's fixing to have surgery. So Gemini's going to need a lot of prayers too, guys, because throughout the next little bit, when she has her surgery, she's going to have some downtime. If you guys know anything about sending cards to people, pick up a card, throw it in the mail. Gemini, I would advise you to put your P.O. box or something in your description so that people can do that, so they can bless you. Gemini's a sweet person. She sent Danny and I some gloves and stuff the other day here a while back that was really pretty awesome, and it helps my little hands because she sent Danny some and I wore Danny's, and so she sent me my own. So thank you, girl. And then she sent Danny the what I call the church fan. So, all right, do I have anybody that, and I didn't see it early because I wasn't paying any attention to the chat at the time, but is there anybody that asked for the 4 Gospels? Maybe some of you moderators might have seen it. So Gemini did post the post. Okay, so we have several of our community that are going through surgeries. Some of them that's going through cancer and fighting that. Some of them that have sick children, sick husbands, you name it, or they're sick themselves. One of the everything. Some of us just need prayers. Sometimes this week has just been a really rough week for me and fighting a battle in my own life. And so I had to get past that. And I did yesterday. It was just after it was all gone and done, it's over. I'm done. So this week, I can do Betty's box of blessings. I can't do her box when I have something weighing on me that I can't process anything else. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Now, do you have any questions or anything like that? I can pay attention to the chat now. Let's see. Didn't see anybody ask. Okay, that's fine. Am I going to be doing this every Sunday morning? I don't know if I will. Today was just one of those things that I had this and I didn't want to do a video and then have to edit and then have to wait on it to render and then have to wait on it to upload. I'd been all day. I've got to work on Deep South. I've got my bed videos where Danny and I are creating our own bed out of logs from our property. And I need to do at least 2 more videos on that today, plus porch time. If I don't get porch time, you guys are going to be upset. I've got a lot to do, so I needed something to be able to do this. Little Red Cabin in the Woods. If no one needs the Gospels themselves, I know someone I could send it to. Can you send me your address? Because I would be more than blessed. I've sent something to Little Red Cabin in the Woods before, and so I really appreciate it. If you know someone, then please let me know. I will forward it on to you, and you can forward it on to them. That would be awesome. So I've got a lot going on this afternoon. I really have a lot. The bed reveal is going to be so fun. Y'all, we have had a really fun time creating this. Danny and I knew, well, he had an idea when he started what he wanted to put in the headboard. And then we were sitting over there the other day and he was saying, I got to figure out how I'm going to do this headboard and how it's going to work. And all of a sudden, our thoughts just went to a total different way. He had the exact things he needed to make it happen. It took him a little while, and I've got videos I'm going to show after the reveal. I will show you how he put what he put in the headboard together and how he did the footboard, because we did not even think on the footboard. The way it turned out, that will come out tomorrow. The footboard was just a work in progress. As we were doing it, it all just came together, and it was pretty awesome. And we did not know till day before yesterday, Friday night, what we were going to do with the footboard. And it just hit us, and it was a work in progress too. So anytime you guys see one of our bed videos, in the chat or in the comments, I got to get what I'm into, the comments, rest in peace was funny. I mean, that's all I could think of when I said I wanted some kind of saying. But we didn't put a saying on it. It totally changed. Everything went away after that, and we came up with a different idea, and it just fell into place. And it's all Danny, all the way Danny. So it's awesome. Wanda just had a little bit of an idea, and Danny took it to the end. He always does. He takes my ideas and keeps going. So, guys, I'm very blessed that you came in today. I want to ask that each one of you pray for each other. Pray for the ones that ask for prayer, for those that are going to be out. I've got to get busy and get some things done. We have Amanda's mom is coming in a little while. So I'm going to have company this afternoon again. Yesterday, we had church here with Gail and Kelly from Pemberley Farms. Is Pemberley Farm Homestead, I think, on YouTube. Guys, Gail is very knowledgeable. She is a very, very well studied biblical person. She knows the Bible. She doesn't push her beliefs. And her and Danny just had the best time talking. And I guess Kelly and I just kind of sit back and listen and to every now and then. But it was pretty cool. So guys, if you don't know Pemberley Farm Homestead, check them out. She was at the gathering, and a lot of you may remember the lady that was doing the cast iron cooking. She cooked some things in a cast iron. So go check them out, and we will talk to you guys later. Thank you for stopping by. And the two of you that, let's see, Kathy Bishop and A Little Red Cabin in the Woods, deepsouthhomestead@gmail.com. Send me your address. Thank you guys. Talk to you later.